There are stories that bruise the heart, stories that force us to ask. How far can fear push a community? How blind can suspicion make us? Tonight, we step into the life of a woman whose name should have been spoken with reverence. But instead, they whispered it with trembling lips. They spat it with anger. They shouted it with certainty. Her name was Ama Nyarko. 73 years old, a grandmother, a healer, a woman who once held her village together, until the day everything fell apart. This is the story of how a beloved elder became the woman they called a witch. And the truth she carried that no one expected. Before we begin, if stories like this move you, if you believe every forgotten voice deserves to be heard, take a moment to subscribe. It helps these powerful stories reach more people who need to hear them. The sun had barely stretched over the hills of Kwaso when Ama Nyarko rose from her bamboo mat. Her joints ached from decades of hard work, but she smiled anyway. She always smiled. She swept the compound, fed the chickens, warmed the water for her grandson Kojo's morning porridge. Neighbors passed with greetings. Good morning, Mame Ama. God bless your day, she would chuckle gently. Bless you too, my child. But that morning, the greetings were fewer. Some eyes avoided hers. Children were pulled closer by their mothers. Ama noticed, but she didn't understand. Not yet. A silence had begun forming around her, a silence that carried a dangerous weight. Rumors in a village do not walk. They fly, under doors, through market baskets, between whispered conversations. Strange things began happening. A goat disappeared, a tomato farm wilted overnight, a child fell sick with no clear cause. And then, someone said it. Softly, carefully, almost fearfully, maybe, someone is doing something. A hush followed, eyes shifted, and then someone added, someone old, someone whose hands know herbs too well. No name was spoken, but the direction of their glances said enough. Kojo rushed into their small room one evening, breathless. Grandma, the boys at school said something today. Ama wiped his face. What did they say, my child? He hesitated. They said, you can make things happen. Bad things. Ama froze, not from guilt, but heartbreak. She had delivered their babies, healed their fevers, prayed with their families, and now, her kindness had become their suspicion. She held Kojo's hand gently. A person may be feared when she is not understood. But truth does not hide. It will find its way. She said it with strength. But inside, the ground beneath her felt unsteady. It happened on a Wednesday. A day so ordinary, no one could have predicted what was coming. Tano, the son of the village chief, collapsed on the football field. A strong, energetic boy, now lying still. Panic spread, wails filled the air, people ran in every direction, searching for answers, and searching for someone to blame. An elder pointed toward the far end of the field. Ama Nyarko stood there, leaning on her walking stick, watching the chaos unfold with fear in her eyes. She was standing there before it happened. Someone shouted. I saw her pass by the chief's house last night. She has herbs, she knows things. Minutes, just minutes, were enough for whispers to turn into accusation. Accusation into certainty, certainty into anger. By the time the chief arrived, the crowd had already chosen their culprit. Ama Nyarko. Most people run when falsely accused. Ama did not. She stood trembling, but rooted in dignity. The chief approached her, voice trembling. Ama, people believe you are involved. Ama looked into the eyes of the man whose wife she had helped give birth 20 years earlier. My son, she whispered, you know me. The chief swallowed painfully. I know, but the people, they are afraid. Fear can erase memory faster than time. Ama raised her chin. Let them search my home. Let them question me. I have nothing to hide. Her calmness surprised them, but anger, once awakened, does not sleep. Villagers stormed her compound. They searched under beds, in baskets, inside cooking pots. Every herb bundle, every calabash, every dried leaf, was held up as evidence. But these were the same herbs she used to heal their children. The same leaves she used to soothe fevers. The same remedies their grandmothers once used. Yet today, they looked dangerous, suspicious, foreign. A woman held up a wooden carving. What is this? Ama sighed softly. That belonged to my late husband, a gift from his uncle. But explanation no longer sounded like truth. Fear had already chosen its answer. When things reached their peak, Kojo stood in front of the crowd, his small body shaking. Leave my grandmother alone. She didn't do anything. The crowd went silent. Children are often ignored, but Kojo refused to be silent. My grandmother didn't go near the field to harm Tano. She stood there because she can't walk far anymore. Murmurs spread, and last night, she didn't go to the chief's house. She went to pray under the big tree. It was the anniversary of my mother's death. Silence. Heavy. Thick. Many villagers didn't even know Amma's daughter had died. Amma had carried her grief quietly, in private, with dignity. Now, her truth stood exposed. The village healer, Kwaku Bediako, finally arrived. He examined the chief's boy carefully. Then he stood up. Tano did not collapse because of anything spiritual or unnatural. The crowd leaned forward. He fainted from dehydration. He practiced in the sun for hours without rest. The words hit the villagers like a heavy stone. Certainty crumbled. Anger dissolved into shame. Eyes turned away. Mothers whispered apologies. Fathers stared at the ground. Amma Nyarko said nothing, not out of bitterness, but exhaustion. She was tired of fighting shadows she did not create. The chief stepped forward first. "We are sorry," he murmured. Others followed. Some cried. Some could not meet her eyes. But apologies cannot unbreak trust. They cannot erase the echo of accusation. They cannot rebuild what fear destroyed. Amma forgave them, because forgiveness was lighter than anger. But the wound remained. From that day, people greeted her again. But with lowered eyes, with guilt in their voices, with hesitation in their steps. Her name, once full of honor, now carried a stain she did not deserve. A week later, during a community gathering, Amma stood before them. Her cane shook beneath her hand. "My children," she began softly, "I held this village like one of my own. I helped you in sickness. I prayed with you in sorrow. I rejoiced with you in times of harvest." She paused, gathering strength. "But when fear rose, you forgot who I was." Heads dropped. "I am not angry," she continued. "I only ask you this. When the next storm comes, do not be quick to point fingers. Do not choose the weakest person to blame. When fear arrives, choose compassion first." She stepped down slowly. Her words lingered, long after she disappeared behind her door. Some stories end with answers. Some end with justice. But Amma's story ends with a lesson. A lesson about fear. A lesson about memory. A lesson about how a community can abandon its own. And how dignity can survive even the harshest storm. She was never a witch. She was never dangerous. She was only human. And sometimes, that is enough for people to fear what they do not understand.